Today we'll go to hell and back with Brian Melvin. And Sam Kephart tells us what Big Brother is doing to keep an eye on you. Senator Bruce Rampelberg and I have a conversation about the U.S. Senate and House report card. And our Dr. Laura talks about the pro-Obama mindset. That and more. Stay tuned. This is a good one. Jeanette McIntyre is a liberated woman. And Jeanette, you have some things to say about Women's Lib?
I do. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the war on women from the Democrats this year, and that the Republicans are these bad people that are out to get women, and every policy that they have is anti-woman. I don't really look at it that way. I think women in some regards have done some of these things to themselves.
You know, that's an interesting observation, and it's something that many people would agree with you on. Unfortunately, there are many people who wouldn't agree with
Absolutely.
that. But the women's lib movement has really been detrimental to women, hasn't it?
In some regards, I think it has. You know, I was telling you earlier, I wrote a piece 30 years ago about the death of the middle-class housewife. And I don't know even really what inspired me to write it, but basically it's that all of the families were telling their kids back in the 70s, and the females particularly, to go to college, get a degree, become a professional. And so we did. And we got into business, and we got our foothold in that door, and even though we may not have been paid the same thing, we were working our way up the corporate ladder, and we wanted to cling to that. I think it's had detrimental impact on the family, on a relationship with men and women, within marriages, not even to the fact that if the woman's making more money, because I never did, but I think it gives you an independence that takes away a little bit of the cohesiveness of the family.
You know, back when you and I were kids growing up, we talked about this. We'd come home to milk and cookies. Mm-hmm. Although at that time my mother, who was a teacher, she was highly invested in trying to make a living along with my father. But the reality is that moms are the glue that kind of holds the family together. And when you start taking mothers out of the home, it's bound to have an impact on the kids, on the relationship.
It does.
On the country.
I think so. And I can give the example of just the fact that when I raised my kids from the time they were born until 3rd grade, I didn't go back to work. And the difference from 3rd grade on when I did have a job. Because I think everybody wants to give 100%. We talk about giving 150%. We know we don't have that. So if you're taking 8 hours out of your day, or 10 if you're a really go-getter worker like I'd go early and stay late, something suffers. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the kids, maybe it's the husband, maybe it's both. Or both, or maybe it's the job. Yeah. So you really, in reality, have 100% of you, and you're given 50-50, or you're given 60-40,
well,
40-60.
Fortunately, most women are talented enough to do that.
We are. But, you know, we can juggle more balls than just one.
But the problem is that it creates a void mm-hmm. in the family, doesn't it?
It creates a void everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, women talk about being paid the same, and you can almost understand why some businesses can't pay them the same, because you know if the child's sick, the mom's going to go home and take care of them. Or the fact that if mom and dad are both working, it probably will be mom who will go do that instead of dad. And the same thing happens with the kids. You can't be there 100% of the time or have the milk and cookies ready because you are at work all day.
Jeanette, how do you see the fix playing out? Is there a fix?
I don't know. I don't know of a particular fix. I think it depends on individuals. Ann Romney in her speech lately talked about being a stay-at-home mom. I enjoyed being a stay-at-home mom, but I honestly missed working. I missed being out with people and being out with a job to do and something exciting too, although raising my kids was probably the best thing I ever did. But, yeah.
Well, the women's liberation movement is still alive and well, don't you think?
Oh, I think it is. And I think you see people that are in politics. I think you see people crashing through the glass ceiling, as they say, and all those types of things.
Well, Nancy Pelosi certainly did it.
But so did Condoleezza Rice.
Yeah, thankfully there is an antidote.
Yeah, there is an anti-Nancy.
Yes. Well, Jeanette, thank you so much for taking time today. And
Yeah, you're welcome.
I know that you are someone who is completely capable to wear many hats. Interesting that you view women's liberation as not completely a positive thing.
I think it's a double-edged sword with some unintended consequences, for sure.
Well, thanks for joining us, and
You're
thank you
welcome.
for joining us today. Stay tuned.